Hey everyone, it's Lexie. So in today's video, I'll be sharing with you some of my favorite bookish mother figures. So in honor of Mother's Day coming up, I thought this would be a cute little video to do. Everyone loves their mom, and so I always think it's nice to find, mother figures or mother characters in books that really kind of show the unique relationships that mothers have with their children, or just like the role that they play in our lives. And so I wanted to find some books here that kind of, really capture the uniqueness and amazingness of mothers. So without further ado, let's get started. So starting out, I first have Lana from the Year One trilogy by Nora Roberts, and this series is very unique. It's very much outside of my comfort zone, but I honestly fell in love with it. It basically follows it's very kind of eerily similar to kind of the COVID pandemic, just with a fantastical element, but it takes place in the modern world, and there is this virus that breaks out that kills 2/3 of the world's population in a matter of weeks, and those who turn out to be immune to this virus are those who have some type of magical kind of blood in them, and you can see how that can cause some problems between the regular humans and the kind of the magical beings. And so that's kind of the general premise of this series, but we follow Lana, who very much has to kind of grow a child in her while all this is going on. You can see that kind of the anarchy of the world and how she's very much struggling to keep her and her baby safe, even with everything that you go through. And especially kind of the last third of the book, you really see kind of how she's very much, even though she's very much broken inside, how she still is pushing through to keep have this experience with her child. And regardless of all what's going on in the world, her kid's the most important thing, and just the length she goes to keep her kid safe, I think is really well executed in here, and just shows that kind of unique bond that a mom has with her baby. I think is really unique as well, and especially because we get to see her kind of go through her pregnancy in this one, and then you can see her kid kind of grow in the second one, and how she has to let her kid kind of go off and learn and explore, and she can't do that when she's with her mom. So just having to let her go, knowing that's what her kid needs in order to go away to go learn and kind of fill the role that she was destined to fill in. So I really like that, and you can kind of see just her internal struggle of keeping her kid safe but also allowing her kid to thrive. So I really like that, and just kind of, especially because you basically get to see her throughout this whole thing, so I think that one's really enjoyable as well. Next up, we have Gwen from the Stillhouse Lake series by Rachel Kane. I think you can definitely see a lot of the unique kind of experience that her mom had, especially Gwen has with, I think throughout the series you really get to see her maternal instinct and how everything she does is to keep her and her family safe. Her main priority is her kids, and I really like that. I definitely think she's I think what's in here is that she's very a flawed character, and so she's not the perfect mother, but I think it paints a realistic portrait of a mom who's trying to make what's best for her and her kids, and just how her kids are her top priority, and just that kind of mama bear mentality in here as well. And just also kind of seeing her experience of trying to imagine what her kids are going through their eyes, and how they've had to grow through so much turmoil, I think is very interesting, especially because these are very severe and extreme circumstances. But basically, for those of you who don't know, this follows a woman whose husband was a notorious serial killer, and everyone assumed that she was somehow involved, and she wasn't. And even though she was acquitted, there are these people that still think she got away with murder, so people have gone out of their way to make her and her children's lives miserable, but she is willing to stand up for her children and take a bullet for them, and I think that is really amazing. Next up, we have Room by Emma Donoghue, and I think this one, even though this is a very intense novel, I think it really showcases the really unique bond between a mother and a child. I'm sure many of you already know this. It is also a movie as well, and I think the movie's better, but it follows this woman who is kidnapped by this man when she's very much younger, and it's told from the child's perspective that she ends up having with this man, and he keeps them in basically an isolated bunker, and it talks about their experience there. And I really, especially because this is told from the child's perspective, I think it's really unique seeing how, you know, the kid is making sense, like the room is his entire world, and how the mom tried to kind of, the narrator himself doesn't see this, but you, the reader, see how the mom is trying to make the best of their situation, getting him, you know, making sure he's healthy, you know, fit, engaged, like learning still with all this going on. And I think this is it's a horrible, you know, thing to have to live through, but I think it really showcases how the mom's trying to still protect her child even with all this going on, and he's kind of living in this. And I think honestly the movie is better, so if you don't really want to read the book, the movie is amazing. Brie Larson is amazing. Like, I think it really showcases the power of mothers. Next up is kind of a trilogy overall, and it is the Lilac Girls series by Martha Hall Kelly. So this is a unique trilogy because not only is it historical fiction, but it's loosely based off of the lives of actual real life people. So the first book we follow Caroline during World War II. The second book we follow Caroline's mother Eliza during World War I. And then in the third and final book, Sunflower Sisters, we follow their great aunts and grandmothers in kind of the Civil War era. So I think this is really unique too, because especially I think because of the familial connection, you can see how the influence of these strong maternal figures in their life very much shaped them to be, you know, play such a pivotal role in these wars. So we follow Georgie, and specifically in Sunflower Sisters, who's very determined. Like, even though this was basically the 1860s, like they didn't really abide by like the normal of, you know, you're fair women, like you don't need to be involved with this war, but they were adamant. They wanted to contribute to the war effort. They wanted to fight for the North. And so Georgie in particular trains as a nurse and ends up, you know, being a nurse for, you know, veterans, which I think is amazing. You can see that influence, that mentality of like, I don't need a man to do my, you know, to do what I want mentality. You see it in Eliza, where she's helping World War I refugees. You also see it in Caroline in the kind of World War II refugees as well. So you can kind of see that strong maternal influence that they have on, you know, their that is basically intergenerational. You can like see it in these women, and I think that's really unique, in just having that strong female, you know, motherly influence in your life. And you can see how much good it caused, like basically the impact that it had on hundreds of people. And lastly, we have Elsa from the Four Winds by Kristen Hanna, and this follows a woman who is living in the Depression era during the Dust Bowl, and her struggle in just, you know, trying to find a better life for her and her children. And she goes to great lengths and just has to go through so much turmoil and just brutal work just to keep her children afloat. And you can see how she struggles throughout this with trying to keep that innocence in her children, like so that they don't really, like, they still have their innocence surrounded by all this hardship, and how she's really kind of determined to keep that, even though they eventually kind of have to grow up and all that. And just everything she goes through just to make sure that her kids have a better life is truly heartbreaking to see. But you definitely get to see that throughout the course. And a big theme in this novel is Elsa finding her like bravery, and how that kind of channels into protecting her children, which I think is truly beautiful. And again, with Kristen Hanna books, it's really, I think like there's a lot of, it gets classified as like chick lit, and that it's not as important, but it really showcases like the, you know, the woman's experience, and really channels into that, and like what can it mean from following these women from different walks of life through different points in history, and really showcasing the woman experience. And I think she really does a good job at highlighting kind of the survivalhood and kind of mixing in like motherhood as well. that's it, guys. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Let me know in the comments below what some of your favorite motherly bookish figures are and all of that stuff. So yeah, thank you guys so much for watching. Don't forget to give this video a thumbs up, and I will see you guys next time. Bye, guys.